At the start of this movie, we're introduced to a high school that's been snagging the Best School Award for the past 2 years. It's like the Oscars of high schools, except, without the red carpet and awkward speeches. But hold on, it's not all sunshine and A-plus report cards. Enter Soo-gang, the local bad boy who rolls with his gang of troublemakers. These guys don't just bully the students, they practically have a monopoly on it. But get this, everyone at the school, from the nerds to the teachers, and even the principal, just turns a blind eye. Why? Because Soo-gang's family has more money than a small country. If he wanted, he could probably buy the school and turn it into his personal playground. Now, as you'd expect, Soo-gang and his crew decide to pick on Jin-hoo. They're like, let's play a game where Jin-hoo is the piñata and we're the baseball bats. Soo-gang's buddy Minji even pulls out her phone and starts recording it because nothing says good friends like capturing each other's crimes on video. They drag Jin to a room and start what they call a game. It's less Monopoly and more WWE SmackDown. They slap him around, and Soo-gang, who's chilling in the audio room like some evil DJ, is just loving it. He even broadcasts Jin-hoo's screams over the school PA system. Yeah, that happened. And the best part? Everyone hears it, but no one lifts a finger. It's like the school motto is, see no evil, hear no evil, do nothing. But then we meet Simon, the movie's main character, and a new teacher at the school. Simon's only supposed to be there for 3 months, but she's hoping to make it permanent. She's like, I'm going to win Teacher of the Year, even if it kills me. So she's all about doing a great job and playing nice with her coworkers. One day, Simon is just trying to take a quick bathroom break when she overhears 2 teachers gossiping outside. They casually mention that the last teacher, who sat at Simon's desk, well, let's just say they didn't exactly leave the school voluntarily. Nope. Turns out they committed suicide after getting bullied by the students. Suddenly, Simon's relaxing bathroom trip feels more like a scene from a horror movie. Naturally, Simon is freaked out. Who wouldn't be? But she's smart. When she steps out, she pops in her earphones and pretends like she didn't just hear about the cursed desk she's been sitting at. Gotta keep up appearances, right? Enter Hao, who decides to give Simon a crash course in why Soo-gang is the worst. She drags Simon to her room and shows her a video that could easily win first place at the World's Worst People Awards. In it, Soo-gang is harassing an elderly woman. But then, Jin shows up like a superhero trying to save the day. Bad news for Jin, though. He's now officially on Soo-gang's hit list. That elderly woman? Yeah, that's Jin's grandma. Hao drops another bombshell, casually mentioning that Soo-gang had beaten up a kid so badly at his last school that he got suspended. And now he's here, making everyone's life miserable. Hao gives Simon some advice. If you want to keep this teaching gig, you better pretend none of this is happening. Simon's blood runs cold. Seriously, it's like she's starring in a true crime docuseries, but she plays it cool. She doesn't say a word to Hao, but when she gets home, it's a different story. Later that day, Simon unleashes her frustration on a punching bag, which is probably the only thing in the room that's safe from her rage. Right then, her buddy Kwon, who just so happens to be a police inspector, drops by. They do some friendly boxing, but let's be real, it's not much of a match. Simon knocks him out faster than you can say, round 1. This is where we learn that Simon isn't just your average, everyday teacher. She's a legit boxer with a collection of medals. Her dream? To win the gold. But that dream's on hold because her dad, who was also a boxer, is drowning in debt, and she's got to help him out. So she's running a gym and pulling double duty as a part-time teacher. After she's done turning Kwon into a human punching bag, Simon notices a mask lying around. She's like, where did this come from? Kwon shrugs it off, saying maybe her dad left it there, but Simon isn't so sure. Still, she lets it slide. The next day, Simon is back at school, trying to blend in like a chameleon at a rainbow party. She's on a mission to make everyone like her so she can turn her temporary job into a permanent one. She even looks the other way when she spots a student smoking. But then, she sees something she can't ignore. Jin getting the snot beaten out of him by Soo-gang and his goons. Simon sees that Soo-gang has covered the CCTV cameras and has put a plastic bag over Jin's mouth. Simon can't tolerate this and steps forward to help Jin, but on the way she encounters a boy named Lee, who warns her not to proceed, saying, if you go ahead, you'll get yourself into trouble. Lee explains that Soo-gang's mother is a lawyer, his father is the chief prosecutor, and he is also a trustee of the school, which is why no one dares to speak out against him. Simon realizes that if she does anything, it could cause problems and even put her job at risk. Soo-gang threatens Jin, saying, if you move, I'll kill your grandmother. Soo-gang is about to attack Jin when Simon intervenes. While hitting Soo-gang, Simon deliberately falls down, making it look like she accidentally intervened. At the same time, Simon retrieves Jin's bag and apologizes to Soo-gang, asking him to go back to class. Soo-gong asks Lu about her, and Lu replies that she is the replacement for the teacher who had committed suicide due to their bullying. Soo-gong, now enraged, starts beating his own friends in frustration, knowing he's faced his first defeat. After this, we see Lee, who has been training in boxing with Simon's father. Actually, Lee works at a restaurant where Simon's father used to visit frequently. The next day, Simon calls Jin into her room and asks her if he has reported the situation to the principal. Jin says, "The principal knows, and even the police, but no one helps me. Instead, they advise me to leave the school. But why should I go when I haven't done anything wrong?" Jin also asks Simon for help, but she knows that none of the teachers at the school would support her, so she feels powerless to do anything. That night at home, Simon keeps thinking about Jin, and she remembers her past when she couldn't win in women's boxing. Her dream of winning a gold medal remained just that, a dream. Angered by her defeat, Simon's father harshly scolded her and even refused to accept her as his daughter. The story then returns to the present, where Simon is spending time on the terrace. She tells Soo-gong to stop harassing the other students, but Soo-gong becomes enraged and mistreats Simon. Unable to do anything, Simon retreats. Meanwhile, all the teachers' phones at the school start buzzing with a message that says Soo-gong has severely bullied a student. The entire school is in an uproar, wondering who had the courage to report this. The principal is also concerned because the news has reached the education committee. Soo-gong's mother arrives, furious, and demands to know who complained about her son. She lashes out at the teachers, but none of them, including Simon, dare to confront her. Enraged, Soo-gong's mother begins to physically attack Simon. Despite this, Simon remains calm, knowing that these were very powerful people, and she couldn't do anything to stop them. After some time, Soo-gong goes to the principal's office and asks what will happen to Simon. The principal replies that Simon will be expelled from the school, but instead of being pleased, Soo-gong kicks the principal and demands that Simon be brought back. Meanwhile, Simon is sitting on the sidewalk, visibly upset and angry. Kwon, Simon's friend, comes and she tells him everything about the dirty game of bullying going on in the school and also asks for his help so that she can help Jin. However, Kwon warns that without evidence, they won't be able to stop Soo-gong. Hearing this, Simon becomes furious. But before she can express her anger, she sees her father picking up young children after their boxing practice. Simon tries to talk to him, but her father leaves in anger. Later, Simon is sitting alone in a store when suddenly Soo-gong and his gang show up and intimidate her. They begin to harass Simon, but she manages to control herself because she doesn't want to retaliate. She decides to leave, but on her way out, she accidentally bumps into a drunk man. When he hits her, Simon's anger explodes like a volcano, and with a single kick, she knocks the man unconscious. She then resolves to teach Soo-gong a lesson and save Jin. Meanwhile, Soo-gong is playing basketball with his followers when a player from the opposing team collides with him, causing Soo-gong to become enraged. With that, a fight breaks out between the two gangs, which Simon watches from a distance. Taking advantage of the chaos, Simon puts on a cat mask and attacks Soo-gong. Meanwhile, Lee arrives with a fried chicken order for Soo-gong, but seeing the fight, he decides to stay. Simon is giving one of Soo-gong's members a thorough beating when the police arrive, forcing Soo-gong to flee, and the fight ends. The next day at school, Simon is in high spirits because the night before, she had gotten the better of Soo-gong. The video of Soo-gong's beating goes viral throughout the school, and everyone starts seeing the masked person as a hero. Some students even drew a cat mask on Soo-gong's seat, which made Soo-gong furious. He goes to the classroom, breaks his table in front of the teacher, and storms out. His followers trail behind him, and everyone trembles with fear as Soo-gong drives recklessly through traffic. His friends suggest that he take out his anger on Jin, and Soo-gong cheers up at the mention of Jin's name. Meanwhile, Simon is still in a great mood and starts fooling around with the mask in her gym. But then Kwon arrives and tells her that revenge isn't necessary. If justice is what she seeks, there are other ways to achieve it. Understanding Kwon's point, Simon decides to burn the mask. On the other hand, Soo-gong decides to play a game with Jin, but as soon as Jin gets the chance, he escapes and runs straight to Lee's restaurant. Lee's boss helps Jin, and Lee immediately rushes to Simon's gym because he knows that the masked person is none other than Simon. Lee tells Simon about Jin and asks her to help him. He also reveals that he was the one who called the police at the basketball court because he knew Simon was involved in the confrontation. Frustrated and angry, Jin picks up a knife and sets out to confront Soo-gong. Meanwhile, Simon also attacks Soo-gong once again, but just then, Jin arrives with the knife. Fortunately, Simon sees him before Soo-gong does. She quickly moves to stop Jin, but ends up getting injured by the knife in the process. Simon is rushed to the hospital, where her father scolds her for her reckless behavior. However, he also notices the cat mask and decides to wear it himself to protect his daughter. Seeking revenge, Simon's father confronts Soo-gang, and a fight breaks out between them. Meanwhile, Simon gets out of bed and leaves the hospital because she feels she has recovered. As soon as she steps outside, she sees her father, his face swollen from the beating he received from Soo-gang. Seeing her father in such a condition, Simon becomes determined to get revenge on Soo-gang. Afterward, as Simon and her father are driving home, Simon's father finally opens up to his daughter. He apologizes, explaining that he knew Simon was going to win that boxing match years ago, but a man had offered her a large sum of money that could have paid off her father's debt. Because of this, Simon deliberately held back, allowing her opponent to knock her out. Although Simon's father yelled at her that day, he understood the real reason behind her defeat, so he says sorry. Hearing this, Simon tears up but manages to hold back her emotions. The next day, Soo-gang's gang searches the school for the person with the cat mask. Having learned that the person must be a student there, they start inspecting everyone's hands, looking for the cut caused by Jin's knife the previous night. However, no one seems to have the injury. Suddenly, Soo-gang notices Simon, who is wincing in pain after getting hurt while dealing with another student. Soo-gang realizes that it must be Simon, so he grabs her injured hand and asks why she saved him from Jin. Simon replies, "I wasn't saving you. I was saving Jin from getting into bigger trouble." Hearing this, Soo-gang tries to suffocate Simon with a plastic bag, but when he notices a flyer for the school's boxing championship, he changes his mind. Instead, he challenges Simon to a fight in the competition. Simon, with no other choice, agrees. Meanwhile, Jin, likely fed up with everything, attempts to jump from the school building's roof. Simon arrives just in time, reminding Jin of his grandmother. This brings Jin back to his senses, and he breaks down in tears. Simon comforts him with a hug. Finally, the day of the fight arrives. Jin distributes cat masks to all the students, hoping to expose the person behind the mask, unaware that it's Simon. The fight has become a citywide topic of discussion because of Soo-gang's influential status. As the fight begins, Soo-gang, a strong fighter, starts landing heavy blows on Simon. At one point, Simon's hair comes loose, revealing that she is a girl, shocking everyone. Then Simon gathers her strength, shifts into her true form, and begins countering every one of Soo-gang's attacks. Meanwhile, Simon removes her mask, and everyone is shocked to see that it's her. She then delivers a powerful kick to Soo-gang, sending him straight out of the ring, making Simon the winner of the match. After the victory, Simon confronts Soo-gang, demanding that he fall at Jin's feet and apologize. However, Soo-gang still refuses to bow down. In response, Simon and Jin file a complaint against Soo-gang with the police. When the complaint is filed, Minji, a member of Soo-gang's gang who had also suffered from his abuse, Minji promises to provide all the evidence against Soo-gang, leading to his arrest. A few days later, the scene shifts to Simon, who is now working as a gymnastics trainer far from the school and is very happy. And with that, friends, the story comes to an end. That's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe to watch more interesting recap videos. Thanks for watching.